I think there's two kind of technical challenges. The first one is the user experience, and you're absolutely right. You have to start with something very seamless. Take the example of the AirPod from Apple. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to plug a button. You just remove them from their box and you put them in your ears. I think a wearable technology has to be the same, lean and easy use.
Welcome to HeroInside, the Ingredient Branding podcast with Tomas Vučurović. In each episode, Tomas will draw from his vast experience as the go-to global ingredient branding expert and will discuss this subject with visionaries and pioneers in the field. How do you go from the zero position as a supplier of a new ingredient to the hero position in demand around the world? Let's find out.
Welcome to the HeroInside Ingredient Branding Podcast, episode number 9. My name is Tomas Vučurović, and I'm the host of this pod. We will talk today about wearable innovation and smart clothing, and I'm thrilled to welcome Florian Miguet. He's a seasoned entrepreneur with a deep background in innovation and wearable technology. Florian is the CEO and co-founder of Clim8, a pioneering brand in smart thermal apparel designed to enhance comfort through real-time adaptive heating. Under his leadership, Clim8 has emerged as the first recognized ingredient brand in wearable tech. Let's uncover how Florian's journey began and what his approach to building up Clim8 was. Florian, first of all, great to have you on the show. We know each other for many years, and I really appreciate the conversations with you. So I'm quite happy that today our listeners can participate in one of them.
Thank you, Thomas, for the invite. Very honored to be with you today and share some of our journey that we had at Clim8 on wearable heated technology.
Yeah, we talk about wearable innovation and smart clothing. So that's a topic that has been with me for almost 20 years. Already in my time at Gore in the mid-2000s, teams worked on active cooling and heating systems, mainly for professional end users. And we also launched back then the AirVantage brand, which consisted of inflatable vests and inserts to provide more warmth. So what was your first moment of truth and insight that led you down the path of wearable heating technology? What's your origin story? And how did you go from that idea to establish Clim8 as a pioneer in the industry?
Okay, the first moment we started the Clim8 journey was at CS Las Vegas in 2015. I was reading articles about heated wearables getting on the market, apparel, mixing electronics, and I found it, first of all, fascinating. And that's pretty much for me also rise up as I was a general manager for the Odlo group. I say, hey, that's something potentially that we could implement into our collection, and find out after meeting one of this new startup that they were absolutely not connected about the market, the standards, the timing, the requirements, but they had pretty much gold in hand. And that's how I say, hey, there is definitely something to do there by focusing on technology which protect people, which are a must-have, and the thermal approach to have a heated technology and maybe a cooling technology would be fantastic and changing a bit the market. And I have been lucky enough to meet the co-founder few weeks after, Dr. Julien Guérité, which is a ex-Decathlon and ex-former Minister of Defense. And during our discussion, he said, hey, what I would like to have is a second skin which is able to cool me down when it's hot outside or heat me up when it's cold. And that's how we say, hey, that's exactly what we need to do. And this is how we started the journey and think about the journey. And from the day one, we have to be an ingredient brand because there is no one around it. There is no one who own it. And that's how the journey started.
Great. So Clim8's technology adapts to users' needs in real time. That's, I think, one of the statements you are making. Can you quickly walk us through how this technology works and what makes it also different from other smart apparel solutions on the market?
We're different in the sense that exactly as you said, Thomas, we take in account pretty much, we monitor the users and the environments, we analyze it, and we activate only when needed. That's help a product to be truly personalized. And the goal is always to outsmart the element in order that you always stay comfortable, whatever the situations you are, active or passive, or whatever the environments you are in. And that's the beauty. The challenge has been from a theoretical part to be able to put it in a product, to make it invisible, washable, affordable, and that's I think all the journey we're gonna discuss for the next coming minutes.
A lot of value expected for wearables is also this kind of seamless user experience, intuitive design, not so many buttons I have to press, and also integrating the technology into everyday wear. There's different life cycles of a garment versus the electronics, as you said, washability or in general cleaning and care. So what were some of the major technical hurdles you faced in bringing Clim8 products from concept to market?
I think there's two kind of technical challenges. The first one is the user experience, and you're absolutely right. You have to start with something very seamless. Take the example of the AirPod or from Apple. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to plug a button. You just remove them from their box and you put them in your ears. I think a wearable technology has to be the same, lean and easy used. When you have to press a button, go to an app, do a lot of things, that's not a good wearable. That's first of all these parts, and that's very complex to arrive to this very seamless. And from our experience was at the beginning we were very too technical. Everything was too adjustable, too many dashboard, and we find out that users they just want to have something which is simple, which is working, and which is adapted to them. It took us a couple of seasons to listen, having a lot of users telling us, and we have been leveraging the ISPO community at this time, at the beginning of the journey, to 2,000 people have been tested or gave us some inputs about what they were expecting, and that helped us quite a lot to come on the market with already a product which was still a technical one, and after a couple of years on the market, we just make it simpler and simpler. And so this is on the user experience. From I would say more technical part of it, as I said, to make a product which is visible, make a product where you don't have to wash it differently than others, make a product which is lasting, which is breathable, stretchable. Those are very basic from our textile background, but which is absolutely complex for electronics, the world of electronics. And the goal was always to trying to merge the capacities of putting electronics embedding into apparel. And that was, I think, it took us a lot of time, 4 years of development, coming from a technology to a market. But when it's done properly and also in collaboration with the brands and the community, that has helped us to reach a certain standard and help us to be, I think, the most advanced and still the most advanced ones.
Thank you. Talking about market, let's move a little bit to on the commercial side of ingredient branding. So building early partnerships is critical to a new brand success. What's the story behind Clim8's first major brand partnership, and how did that help you to validate the ingredient brand concept?
So I think here we had one brand. In our case, that was Odlo, and with Timo Pape and Cedric George. Those were the two people who believed and pushed internally that to make Odlo be the first one embedded the Clim8 technology. And we started with even a product which was the most complex one, which was a base layer, which need to be washed 50 times, which need to be stretched. And once that was pretty much starting to do a pole vault and putting already the bar at 5 meter 50, right? And then after that was easier to go with a glove, non-stretchable or not breathable or not washable. So maybe that's also the reason why we started from the hardest part. That's helped us a lot after to scale on other things. And that was also a combination of here again about the ISPO. I was mentioning that we have been using the ISPO. We're part of ISPO brand new. We have been also using ISPO testing communities to move forward, and that was leveraging as a, I would say, ISPO as a catalyzer to be visible, to work with a brand, but also to get interest from brands from different industries, from the workwear, from the power sports, from the forces, which visit us at first at ISPO. And the beauty has been that the first step was on the sportswear, and then we move on a different categories shortly after.
Very good. Also, two things we can confirm from ingredient branding perspective. One definitely is the importance that your first customer or the first customers are not the biggest customers, but really the ones that believe into your technology, that believe into your model, and that you have great relationships to bring such a product to market. We see that many ingredient brands often target the wrong first clients, even if also the brands are too big. You work with Adi or Nike or some of those brands, then teams are changing and you have to restart again after 2-3 years of work, as you said. So to have the right partner, I think, is very important. And I think what you demonstrated also is if you have a strategic partnership with a important trade show and using that also as a platform to not only like to exhibit, but also use consumer testing and other tools that are provided, this can be a good accelerator for a new entry. Recently, Clim8 is gaining a lot of traction in the US. I think that's interesting. You're a European company. Why is that? And do you see a difference between the region in terms of how consumers react or adapt to your technology?
Yes, and that's very interesting because I've been working before starting the journey at Clim8. I was working 7 years in Asia, and why I moved to Asia was because that was the different markets, also the positivity and the speed, what was very appealing to me. And you're absolutely right. Today, the US and North American markets cover over the majority of our business. We do more than 50% in North America. I think the reason behind is the acceptation of technology. They are faster to take a risk, faster to test, faster to implement or see new opportunities. And once also you have a positive market response, market feedback, they are very they are quick to grow. And I think that's what we can see. And definitely the US has been a main driver. We see now also for the coming years more and more in Europe at catching up, but it was just taking longer for Europe to get used to wearable, working wearable, to make sure that, hey, there is a market. There are people willing to pay quite a big premium for having the technology. But if you deserve specific USP that people can't have it, people are willing to pay for it. So, and I think to be successful, at least for us in North America, was definitely to have also, American team early in the development of the company there. Coming from, we have two people over there, and one is coming from Primaloft, and for years he was already an expert in ingredient branding and our trade marketing. Kevin is coming from Gore for 7 years right before. So also using I would say the recipes and the network of ingredient brand was absolutely key for us to develop in North America, despite the fact that we are a small European startup.
Great, funny. We are also at Brand, when I look at the last 3-4 years, having quite a lot of overseas projects in Canada, North America at the moment, again, also in Australia. So sometimes it's easier to do business on a different continent when the client base is more receptive to what you are doing. As you scaled Clim8, we heard about the start and all the processes that were involved in this, but then you were growing in the last couple of years, picking up revenue, clients, business. Did you fear some challenges in, on one side, expanding your operations, while on the other side, maintaining your innovative spirit? And how do you balance that growth that is coming now with staying true to your innovative roots?
Yes, that's a good question. I think on this topic, people have really to understand, first of all, that the approach of the timing is different. Most of the people on the startup mode are, we have to iterate, we have to be quick, we have to be, they're absolutely right. But we are working on an industry which is pretty, pretty slow, but that's a fact. We work with collections. And if your product is not ready on the right moment with all the features, you just come back 12 months later. And I think this is very important probably for the people who listen and say, yeah, I want to move towards ingredient branding. You have to come with definitely a unique USB. That's I think that's been explained a lot into the previous podcast. But you have also to consider that, hey, the timing, it's not just a typical easy to scale services or product, but you have you have some timing to respect, and that's sometimes quite challenging for startup and financing. And the second thing, we have three challenge when you scale is to always, of course, still keep the people. And I would say I think my biggest pride is the team which is behind it, because the people are not tattooing a logo of Clim8 on them. It's not, but they really do the best for their teammate. And this is for me, I think, this idea to have an ownership of the team members, despite that some are marketer, some are testing technicians, some are coder developers in the software, some are sales, some are marketing, and it's completely, they talk a different language, right? They see different processes, they have a different processes to execute, but there is still this wheel, this cement for them to they want to do their best for their bodies, and I think that's something which I'm very proud of. And the consequences, consequences are that we are able to grow and enjoy the journey. And the last point would be, there is a lot of great products or great projects on the market, but from making one proto to one industrialization, it's a different people, it's a different processes, and I think not too many startups are minded to do that. And I think that was a challenge for us.
Let me iterate a little bit more on that, because we are involved very much with what is now called next gen materials, everything that is trying to replace synthetic materials coming from all kinds of biological alternatives. And many of those brands currently struggle with the situation that has been formulated by one of the venture capitalists at the Future Fabrics Expo as the Valley of Death. So that's the time between, going to a show or going to customers, demonstrate first prototype solutions, maybe a couple of meters of prototypes that the brands are testing, and then the time to go full scale in commercialization. And what we see is that, this time period is longer than expected for everybody. And now a lot of startups are running out of cash exactly in that time period, while they had no problems to finance themselves, let's say from bootstrap over the first rounds, seeding rounds, towards this point of prototyping and getting first products out. How did you navigate that period, and what advice would you give to other founders trying to bridge this challenging phase or valley of death?
Yeah, that's a great topic, and that's a topic that every project face. So I think there is, especially when you are with physical products, to proceed from our. I was just saying previously, I think there are a couple of challenges. There is challenging when you start to scale. you need to find industrial partner and potentially having industrial tools. Therefore, you have to be able to pretty much not be over optimistic and not be also pessimistic about your growth, and to be able to adapt your tool, industrial tool, and your forecast. That's one issue. Second thing is you need to often explain and teach the industrial how to do, because you come with innovation, and you come with, I would say, often a R&D perspective, and your R&D solutions are sometimes not the one that an industrial will implement, and therefore here same you will have some challenge now, and you have to consider that in mind. The third one was once again the timing. That takes time, and you're absolutely right. It always takes longer than what you expect. Always. We have at Clim8 now 3 sites of industrialization. One, I would say, 150 kilometers from our headquarters in France. Second one in Tunisia, and now from earlier 2025 in Vietnam, because most of the areas are also integrated over there. So it means the capacity to be able to scale and to follow pretty much also where your consumers or where your clients are, where they produce, because that's reducing also your impact in terms of emission. That reduces your delay of delivering. So that's very important. And I would say the next one and the last one was try, and this is not easy, but try to work with partners, having a cocktail of partners, one which are smaller but more reactive. Try to work with maybe some bigger one, but which, as you said, if you start with a big Nike or big Adidas, it might take you a couple of years on the product development, because people are changing, but also to be able to match the compliances and the resources required on compliances. So there is a lot of things to where you will have less demand with a smaller company. So I would definitely say mixing on I would say smaller and faster fish, sorry to say like this, rather than trying to get the best. That's very important. And the last one would be, hey, watch out. I was coming from this outdoor world industry, but I was thinking that's the best, but other industries are extremely also sometimes they're not as visible, but they are even more reactive. They are more innovative than we are in the outdoor world. So you learn a lot also from other, and having partners and clients from different industries are absolutely key.
But also what you said, for example, in your hiring process, to, like you described, take some people who have already experience, who have already done certain things in the market, helps you to be faster. The question that pops up now, as you were mentioning, regulations or sustainability, there is a tsunami of uncoordinated regulations coming on the market, related on one side with the Green Deal from the European Union, supply chain transparency, and others, also different regulations, North America or within America, California different, New York, France has its own, Europe has its other. Are you very much affected by those regulations, and how do you deal with that? Have you hired a corporate affair person who is only reading and studying the latest regulations and interpret what that means for you?
Yes, we have seen this tsunami, and we have had developed already internally something exactly to first to be compliant. So you can imagine all the tsunami we have on the apparel, on the smart apparel. You have to multiply them, because there is electronics and there is also batteries. So it's a cocktail. The good thing is there is very few people can do that because that's very complex to navigate in between. We haven't hired a person specifically, but we are part of FESI in Brussels. Sports, the European Sporting Goods Association, and I think that was also being part of it, but also providing the feedback that we had from our partners. That was also a win-win situation.
It's a bit scary, I think, from an entrepreneurial perspective. When you think about a few years ago, when you wanted to establish a new brand, the first thing you needed to hire, it was a designer. Or if you were a designer, the first thing you needed to hire is a commercial partner. And then it was all about, making a collection and creating a brand and going to market. Now, if you start a new brand, the first hire is a corporate affairs manager who sets your business up from the beginning that it's at all compliant with all these regulations. It's changing completely the angle, and I think it's also limiting creativity and entrepreneurship.
If I may say, I think it's important to on everybody which is looking to projects. You're right. Between from our side, there is this part, but I would say, not too much, especially because we had one person already quite early, which was in charge a bit of that. So development, but also about certifications and so on. That was for us a good asset. But I think what is also very important is when you come with ideas, pretty soon to discuss with IP or patent attorney if you want to secure it. And I think quite because it's getting also more and more busy. And therefore, before you really start to scale and hire a lot of things, make sure that what you have is either protected or has the freedom to operate.
Absolutely. We can see that in many projects that we are involved. Yeah, underestimation of IP protection, also brand protection, which is the other thing that you can build up when your technology is not unique anymore, but you have reached a number one position for your brand as an ingredient that also protects you from others offering similar technologies. Let's change a little bit the subject, also coming slowly towards the end. We met a few weeks ago in Munich at the performance days, and you introduced a little bit different product called DIGITAG, so a tool that is aimed at transparency in the production chain. How does that fit with your Clim8 core mission and technology and also brand? Can you say a few words about that?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share about what we have developed. It's a product that we offer to our partners automatically with a climate product. That's in order to propose, and every customers can see where the product has been made, what is the impact, and how we, in order that the brands can be transparent. I think we work with premium brand, and that's important that consumers, partners can get a bit more information about the product, the physical product, and the experience of a physical experience with the product, but also having a digital one around it. What I see was, as you say, also it's helped a lot regarding all the regulation. It's a good support to be compliant and to propose and to fulfill most of the compliance, which is coming more and more. But for us, that's definitely it's nice to have. That was a demand from the brands. I think the brands have been also looking a lot towards what are coming the next certifications. We see that only the powered battery will need DPP by 2027, and it seems that technical apparel won't need digital product passport in the future. That will be for fast fashion to avoid pretty much those overload of product which are dumped everywhere for the globe.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. And I think also more information about DigiTag and Clim8 can be found on your booth at ISPO in 2 weeks, right? So everybody who wants to know more details about that can visit and meet you there. Okay, Florian, what's on the horizon? In the introduction, you said you were in Las Vegas and you were interested in heating and cooling. Obviously, we talked a lot about heating. We didn't talk about cooling, but as unfortunately the climate is going not in the direction of getting cooler, but getting warmer, is there also something we can expect in that direction, or what other things are on your list that you can mention? If you cannot, please say next question.
No. I think hey, we are talking here about transparency from day one. The goal was to create this second skin, right, as mentioned at the beginning. So it took us 4 years to come with a heating technology. We put the product 4 years on the market now. So it seemed that at Clim8 we work on 4 years cycle, and yes, we since this year we start to work a bit on cooling, and we are part of a European project with big guys like Rheinmetall, Safran, NFM for the next generation of a combat uniform for cooling technology. So that's official. So yes, we work on hard stuff. Learn a lot from what we did in heating, and the goal is, of course, to come with the technology, but still. As I said, with all the benefits you can have about lightweight, invisible, washable, and those are not that easy. That's why you have almost nobody on the market for having that. And so the bar is not 550 now; it's about 620, I would say, for pole vault. But we like the challenge, and yes, we are working on that at the moment.
But if you are like the Swedish guy Duplantis, right? So then it shouldn't be a problem for you. You know, he's the one that sets a new world record every time he goes to a competition. So I'm convinced and trust in your skills to make the 6 meter 20.
We try. The team is working hard on that, and also with the partners, and that's the beauty of having cross categories or cross industries partners, which help us to bridge. And in sports, in outdoor, that will come a bit later because, as I said, you need to have a very specification which are unique. Where some other industries are less requiring, just they are requiring efficiency, security, but you need a style, versatility for our industries, and that's also make the bar even higher, maybe 630 then.
Good, Florian. Thank you very much. As you, as a regular listener, know, we have a little tradition on the podcast, giving our visitors also a chance to come up with an ingredient brand related challenge that they are facing or that they have a question about. I know you are yourself really an ingredient brand expert. You have also great team and advisory on that topic. So maybe all the questions are already answered. But if you have something that you would like to bring up, let's hear.
Yeah, I would say that's very important for an ingredient brand, of course, to be visible. So, and the first win, it's key. So, as you say, if you are not visible on your first catch with the first partnership, that will be extremely hard afterwards to make it happen with others. And that's why you should really fight and to make sure that your logo is visible. And you need to make sure that trademark registration is done on a global scale. It's very expensive, but that's why I say you have to, when you adapt your industrial tools, you have also to adapt your IP tools, because when you talk with big guys, yes, maybe the product will be 3-4 years on the market after that, but they're going to be in some territories, they're going to be global. Therefore, you have to be registered on all the territory the product will be. And that's something that you need to anticipate, because a trademark is not something you do in 6 months.
That's true. Very important. We talk about that all the time, also with our clients. One thing I would like to add, because I have really done a lot of trademark registration things in the last 20 years, and it is a topic that is underestimated. There is an additional complexity, and that is, if you are an ingredient brand and if you are branded on the finished product, then you also need to have your trademark registered in the classes of the finished products, not only in the classes of the material that you are producing. And that is something that a lot of people don't know, and that can drive the costs even higher because you need additional classes. So in your case, you do not only need to be registered for electronic components, but you need to also be registered in garments and other categories, something people often don't know. Good. So, Florian, you can help us at the very end with your recommendation for a new guest on our show. Someone that you think would have a fascinating ingredient brand story to tell. Would you like to make a recommendation on that?
Yes, I think that could be good to invite Marcus and maybe Alex from ReZero. Marcus is a formal D3O, so is a serial entrepreneur into the ingredient brand world, and what it did was remarkable with D3O. But I think what it did, and in the short amount of time that is positioning ReZero on the market, for me is very stunning, because it took us 4 years to be visible. And those guys in about 12-18 months have been able to be as visible as us, or even more. I think that's absolutely remarkable what things have been done from their hand.
Great proposal and also great coincidence. We are actually already discussing to have Marcus or the ReZero team as a guest in one of our next episodes. So I think I can promise that we will be able to deliver that in 2025. It also fits our focus of the second series that we want to talk about technologies. Like we started with Ulex, talking about neoprene alternatives. We talked with you and D3O story, but even more the ReZero story is absolutely fascinating. And I have a lot of respect for Marcus and the team. They created 2 ingredient brands. There's not many people who can say that they have achieved this. So we can hopefully put that into action. That's it. Florian, thank you very much. We are publishing this podcast on the first day of ISPO. As I said, I will be there. You will be there. Probably a chance to re-meet, have a coffee at your booth and look at more innovative ingredient brand stories that are coming up. Thank you very much for your time and great content that you provided to our listeners.
Thank you, Thomas, and thank you all for your listening.
Yeah, that wraps up today's episode with Florian Miguet from Clim8. Florian shared a lot of his experiences that he has gained on the journey to establish Clim8 as the first recognized ingredient brand in wearable tech. Let's recap some of the things that we've heard. First, a wearable technology should be as easy to use like Apple EarPods. You just put them on and it automatically adapts to your thermal needs. Another key takeaway is the fact that you need to have time to bring your technology to the market. 4 years from the first prototypes to mass commercialization was the time it took the team at Clim8. A third takeaway is that a trade show can be an important catalyzer for the launch of your ingredient brand if you engage with them in all of the services they provide, including early adapter product testing and really getting connected with the community. The last point I thought really interesting is the fact that as a small European startup, they are able to do more than 50% of their business in the United States. And one of the success factors is the fact that they have hired experts on the ground that had already experience with other well-known ingredient brands and that they can benefit from the network that has been built up. So if you want to share your insights or if you have any questions for this episode, please head over to our brand LinkedIn page and join the conversation. Link will also be posted in the show notes. Subscribe to the HeroInside podcast to be sure not to miss the next episode. Until then, keep exploring, learning, and being a hero in your journey towards a better world.
This has been an episode of HeroInside, the Ingredient Branding Podcast with Tomas Vučurović. Each episode features stories and wisdom from game-changing creators and the shapers of the world's most exciting and influential ingredient brands. To learn more about ingredient branding and Tomas's work, visit braind.co. That's BRAIND.co. Until next time.